Actually, that when I was talking there, it did make me think of something. Where do you stand on the typical homeowner? Do people care about door knocking? I got a point here. It's not really a point. It's a legit question. Like, do you think that people are annoyed by door hangers, dislike door hangers? Do people just like indifferent, don't care? They just ignore it if they don't want to talk to
door
them?
Door hangers or door knocking?
Sorry, door knocking.
Okay.
It's like, and it's because one of the things, like say in pest control, there's just so much door knocking. I personally think they're highly annoying, except that I love to engage with them because I'm in the business. Like I want to know, I want to talk to them, but otherwise I can't stand door knocking. And my wife can't stand it. But do people care enough that does it ever hurt their reputations? Like if you built a door knocking company versus a non-door knocking company that's purely marketing driven, it over the long term is the non-door knocking company liked better in the marketplace over a long time horizon? Same question, because these are same question. HVAC comes in. I'm sorry, private equity comes in. They buy up HVAC. They buy up plumbing. What do? You make all your technicians salespeople. They're selling everything. Unit doesn't really need to be changed yet, but you know what? It's probably going to go out in a couple of years. Buy it today. Like it's that kind of like they are just pushing to sell. And when I talk to like friends and people, like there's names in my market, like people are getting more and more and more turned off to those companies. So where I'm going, and that's usually what comes when private equity, again, we're picking on private equity. I'm just talking we're using it to this whole idea of money's pouring into a company to grow it as fast as you could possibly grow it. However that money comes, wherever it comes from. Do you think that kind of stuff matters at all? I'm not sure if door knocking hurts the company or not over the long term.
One point you made that I've constantly thought about the past several weeks is the unmeasurable chipping away at the brand reputation. It's hard to quantify. Yeah. If you go out and knock doors, you will make more business. 100%. Hard to argue with that. If you do it, if you go knock on 1,000 doors, you will make more money. So how am I going to tell you that that's not a good thing for your business? Would I rather you do that than nothing? Yes. However, what does that do for the long-term brand reputation for the 995 people that said no and hated your guts? Will you always have to rely on identifying the problem for the customer because your brand reputation is so weak that when they have a problem, they would never call you? And I think that takes a long time to catch up. It takes 5 or 10 years till everyone in your market that needs your service, that's okay with that kind of thing happening, has already done business with you. And everyone else that is in the market and becomes problem aware doesn't call you because they hate your guts. It's just so hard because I know it's like the business that has no money and then needs to go knock on the doors. But I also think that people want to come buy from you. And this is why everyone thought that retail was going to die. But at the end of the day, we like it because you go to a place and I expect to buy. Like I willingly walked into this mall. I will buy what I want. And I don't have people coming up to me and try to sell me stuff. I will go.
You hate it when you go to a store and they're all just harassing you. You hate that too.
And so you love the idea that I opted into this experience and I can make the choice. When you come on my property, you're invading my privacy. And I think even with like Ring doorbells and like even AI stuff coming, like people are gonna become more and more aware of this privacy thing. Data centers. And I think it's to your point. It's another thing that erodes the trust, and I think it takes a while to catch up, but eventually it does. I also think it's the delivery of when you knock on the door. What are you saying?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So I just sometimes wonder if I'm thinking about it wrong. My theory for many years now has been, boy, door knocking is a really fantastic way to launch the business, but very quickly pivot it to like, can I get the business to scale fast enough to be able to afford an operational type person in my business? And then pivot the whole thing to marketing driven and away from door knocking. I worry about the long-term effects, but I also worry about the long-term effects of this. Like half the guys on the internet that are, there's a lot of guys that are just teaching sell hard sells. And it works. It all works. But my goodness, do you not pay a price eventually in the market? Like, I don't want to go to most car. Like sometimes Tiffany will be like, hey, I want to see what that car looks like before we buy it. I was like, well, that's cool for you, because I'm going to be the guy they call trying to sell the car to. Or she wants to go, we were in Wyoming and she's like, hey, let's go do this walkthrough in this house. And it's like, no, because I'm going to have to then talk to these people and tell them I'm not buying your house. Like, we don't want to be sold.
That's when you give them the 1 digit off on your cell phone number.
I'm just not good, but I'm not that guy, I guess. But anyway, my point is, I've wondered, this is kind of maybe a selfish conversation, but hopefully it's of value to other people. I've like, what is the fine line on this stuff? And I think about it a lot, even with the selling on the phone, constantly upselling, pressure at the front door, like a lot of this stuff where it's like, if they're really, really good at selling, it feels like a version of pressure. Like, so how does that even degrade the brand over time? And I don't know how to think about it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think the person that has the most money can get in the places where the customer's already at and get in front of them. To your point, someone can come in and just spend a bunch of money. They're going to do it in ways that are typically scalable, like Facebook ads or Google ads or billboards, where the customer feels like they are opting into something when they're problem aware because they've seen that messaging so many times over and over and over again. And even a comment you made the other day, and someone made a comment about it, and that was about you reaching the spouse of the decision maker or the other decision maker via a different channel. So for example, putting a postcard to the person that called in, but you need to get to the husband and get in front of them. Yeah. And that, again, when they called you back and said yes, they felt like they opted into it, that relationship. And it wasn't some sort of coercion or sales tactic that now when someone said yes at the front door, now they're being held responsible in front of their spouse for saying, why did you do that? And it's just so hard to quantify. It's like brand in general is hard to quantify. Like you can quantify revenue, you can quantify customers, but what's your brand this month? What's your brand score? Yeah. It doesn't exist. Yeah. And so it's very hard to objectively tell someone they should not do it, but it's one of those things that chips away.
Yeah. Last thing, go back to prepays. We've talked about prepays. Why do you have, is maybe the reason why you need a prepay because you forced them at the door to buy because of the high pressure sell and you're afraid that they didn't make this choice. They got pressured into it. They were afraid to say no. Like I've had Tiffany buy a couple things over time. Well, I'll give you an example. We were walking in, this wasn't recent. Another time we were in Jackson Hole, walking down the street, and this lady gets her. She's so
Jonathan,
good.
Stop going to Jackson Hole. It sounds like you just get a whole bunch of salespeople on you. Buy your house, you need a car.
yeah. We like Jackson Hole. Anyway, but case in point, again, brand reputation. The lady did such a good job pulling Tiffany off the sidewalk into the store, and Tiffany, the lady pressured her. And then I was like, I'm not going in there. And I just kept walking. I'm not going in this store. I'm not part of this whole thing. I'm hoping Tiffany will just come out. So anyway, Tiffany comes out and she had spent $700 for a face cream.
Wow.
And she didn't really at the moment realize, somehow she's like, I didn't realize I was spending $700. And then she's unhappy.
Oh, wow.
And so we've been back to Jackson Hole many times since. And
she walk on the other side of the street.
She does not like that store. And so that kind of is like, if somebody were to ever say to us, hey, if we lived there, we'd say, never go there. Don't even talk to those people. It's another example of even going too far with the selling, turns people off. So we're really kind of out on the edges here, but I do think it's something that you really have to think about and toe this fine line. And I just don't quite know how. I don't know how you know how far to push it.
Yeah. If you've built a $1 million home service business, but you're struggling to get to the next level at $10 million in annual revenue, I've created a private community just for you. It's called Home Service Boardroom. What got you to $1 million is all the work, the hustle, the grind, figuring out your leads, your website. But what gets you from $1 million to $10 million is learning the skill of leadership, finding other great talent and managers to work for you. If that's of interest, go check out MikeAndy.com/school or see the link in the description.